Co-parenting is one of the most emotionally complex relationship a person can ever navigate, especially when trust has been broken and communication is strained. Many parents don't realize that a successful co-parenting relationship isn't about agreement. It's about stability. Both parents and children need to regulate themselves and communicate clearly with emotional safety. If you are co-parenting with a narcissist, you know that they trigger you, they push you, and then you react. And my work focuses on helping parents understand how to communicate strategically and protect their peace and ensure the children's peace. And today I've got a friend of mine, Saul Kennedy, and he has developed an AI app that I think is so much different than the others. And I really do think that if you spend the time to learn about what you can do and how something will make navigating the communication simpler, that you're going to be on a better path, right? The most important truth about co-parenting is that you cannot control the other parent, but you can control the emotional environment that your children live in. And when one parent becomes calm and consistent and emotionally safe, that parent usually becomes the child's anchor. And co-parenting is not about winning against the other parent. It's about protecting the children's nervous system. And the parent who brings the most stability brings the healing. And even though you want to react to the lies and the threats and the nasty comments, you've got to learn to control yourself because that's all you can control in this relationship at this point. So let's go meet Saul and see how he has created something that is going to change your co-parenting world and make it a lot easier. Welcome, Saul. I'm so excited to have you on my show.
Thanks for having me on, Tracy. It's good to see you.
Would you do me a favor and tell everyone a little bit about yourself? And I think coming from you is better than me reading a bio.
Yeah, so my name is Sol, and I am the founder of the Best Interest app for co-parents. And Best Interest is the first AI-powered co-parenting app. We essentially filter all communications from your ex so that they arrive to you in a way that's peaceful. Even if your co-parent is narcissistic or just a challenging person and they might send off really challenging communication, you deserve peace. And so we help create that peace.
Mhm. And that's such an important part. I think parents need to use AI as a tool in co-parenting because it's the way of the world, but it also is really helping you. Tell me how your app helps people in this. I just got this horrible text from my ex. What do I do?
Yeah, so we can operate in a variety of different contexts. Most co-parenting apps, they force you to get your co-parent on board. They have to download it, they have to pay for it, and sometimes that can be really challenging. Maybe your co-parent likes the way things are going. Maybe they don't want limits on their communication. So in that situation, Best Interest can actually work from day one. You can download the app and you can use it alone, and that's called solo mode. And that essentially, when your co-parent sends you a text, they're just using their SMS app, but then it's flowing through our app and it's being processed so that you just see what's necessary for you to show up and be a good co-parent. So let's say you and I are co-parenting, and maybe I'm the more toxic one. I might send you a message, Tracy, because you're always late, I demand that you pick up the kids at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Well, there's, some triggering communication. You're just going to receive, as a best interest user, Soul would like you to drop off the kids at 9 a.m. And then that's it, because then you can show up and be a good co-parent without getting that triggering communication. And if you ever end up in court and you need that original communication, it's right there in the app too. So you get rid of the trigger, but then you do have the protection of that original communication if you need it.
How did you start doing this? It's like I'm guessing there is a co-parenting story that it what didn't go well. So tell everyone how you came to develop this.
Yeah, I don't think any of us get into this industry just randomly. And I didn't know that this was a problem until I started going through it myself. I Didn't realize, as we all do, that I was going to get a divorce. And eventually I found myself with two kids, getting a divorce, and having a really challenging co-parenting relationship. And what I found is that we were often talking kind of over each other and not really hearing one another. And there was a lot of communication. We would send messages, maybe 20, 30 messages a day back and forth about logistics, about, back and forth of he said, she said. And it wasn't helpful. And it wasn't helpful for our kids. We were both clearly very triggered and activated. And it was this toxic cycle. And one night, I was in my bed and I got that familiar ding from our family wizard. And I just knew my heart raced and I knew, gosh, this is not a situation that I want to be in anymore. I need to do something about this. And what I did was classic tech guy. I thought, how do I solve this with technology? Well, at the time, there wasn't AI. So I decided to hire a former coworker of mine to be my customer service rep for my relationship. I thought maybe that would help because he's not triggered by the same stuff I am. So maybe this wouldn't be so hard. And it actually worked. It provided a buffer between the two of us, and communication slowed down, and it really seemed to be creating peace. But it wasn't a scalable solution. It wasn't something that could be turned into a product. And so down the road, I was playing around with AI with my kids, actually. We were creating stories together before bedtime and having a lot of fun with that. And I just had this little light bulb moment. What would happen if I asked AI about some of this communication and got some advice from it? And it was so helpful at really giving me insights, as I'm sure a lot of your listeners have tried out AI. It's so good at language. It understands completely what we're going through. And so I felt seen, I felt understood. And in that moment, I knew, well, this is a segment of the population that really needs a lot of support. And I want to build that solution for people. And that's how Best Interest launched. We launched about 2 years ago.
Wow. So in all of this, have you found some kind of communication principles that besides the app, like do this or don't do that? Is there some kind of things that made it easier when you transitioned? You weren't reactive to the, "Well, you're always late" comment, but are there some principles that parents should really start to focus in on as they begin to use your app or just move forward in their co-parenting?
Yeah, I mean, from my own personal journey, I think the biggest insight, and this I got from my therapist, is just the idea that the people in our lives that challenge us most are also sometimes our biggest teachers. And so for me, shifting from that victim mindset of, look what she's doing to me and how unfair, and I want to get away from this, and realizing, oh, wait, she's actually teaching me a lot about myself through this conflict. And so once I flipped that, it was like a shift in mindset that allowed me to approach every situation more from okay, this is my lesson plan for today. Why am I feeling triggered about this? And that naturally slowed everything down because instead of just responding and getting defensive or why is she saying that about me or whatever, right? That's not helpful. I'd slow it down, I'd think about it, I'd come back later and I'd respond from a place that was a lot more grounded and centered on the situation rather than just being caught in that drama loop.
Yeah, that's such good advice because slowing down, again, that initial reaction, and then when you respond with anger or fear or how could they, it just ping pongs back and forth and both parties like hit the wall and get triggered. So as you said, it's a great advice to kind of slow it down. What else can they learn? Is there like I mean, I know about, Bill Eddy's BIF, brief, informative, firm, and friendly, as we all know. And so is there some kind of strategy that you help them with, or is it all just AI suggesting everything? Are there principles?
Yeah, so in my own experience, being in the thick of the challenge that is co-parenting, here you're trying to parent maybe with young kids. That's already stressful enough. And then
Mhm.
you're adding on big important decisions that you're trying to make with your co-parent. It can be really overwhelming. And then trying to add on to, well, gosh, I need to learn how to communicate well and I need to buy this book and it will teach me and then I'll learn. And gosh, you're all doing this all in real time. It's like you're trying to build the plane, while you're flying it. And in that scenario, I really think AI can help a lot of us because you don't have to already know how to do it to employ a tool to be at your side at all times. So
Mhm.
AI can really take the teeth off the communication. It can allow you to show up and be a good communicator from day one without needing to really understand the nuances of why you might be triggered by a certain message. And
Mhm.
there's still healing there. This is not a bypass, right? Because when you receive a message that's stripped of its toxicity, you can still respond in the right way. And in fact, you're changing the cycle by responding in a different way. Instead of reacting to that toxic message, you are responding businesslike. You're saying, okay, right? Instead of responding and saying, oh, I'm never late. What are you talking about? You're just saying, okay. And then that has to change the dynamic. So your co-parent is then going to start picking up on something's shifted. I'm not getting the energy that I was getting before, and then the cycle has to shift. So I think that these tools, uh, accidentally or on purpose, I think we actually found a way that AI can truly change people's lives for the better. For
Mhm.
all the things that, you know, people say negative about I think AI can really help us create peace in our relationships.
Yeah. And it gives you different language when you're in that trauma brain, reactive brain. You're going to react from that place. But as you said, taking a step back and then putting it into AI and going, what can I? What should I? What do I have to answer in this? Because in my client's world, it's a high conflict, narcissistic, blame shifting, false allegations every single time, right? And then there's the revision of history where you always do this, you're always late, whatever it is, those things trigger you. And AI is going to say, like what you just said, no, or yes, I got it, instead of reacting to the bait. Because with a narcissist, they bait you. That's what the false allegations are. They want to show that you are the angry one. And one of the most important things, if you're in the middle of the custody battle versus afterwards, is that you look like the calm one when you are responding because it will be brought in. And if they are constantly poking you to get that reaction, and then you flip out one time out of 100, trust me, that's getting on the court docket. They'll go, look how evil she is or he is, right? So when we're going through that, all these false allegations, does the AI app like say this, Tracy, that didn't really happen. Here, you don't have to worry about that. How would it work if you got one of those really electric texts?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's so helpful to have that third party advice in those moments. And, sometimes we might be fortunate and have a coach like yourself or a therapist or someone that we can rely on in the moment. Sometimes we don't really have that. And so AI and when the Best Interest app can protect you from yourself in those moments where you might quickly send off a quick rejoinder of defending yourself or attacking back. You can't say that to me. And if you try to send that, then Best Interest is going to pop up a message. Our tone guardian will say, uh, hey, maybe you should phrase it in a different way. This might come across X, Y, and Z. And it will give you a suggested revision of your message that's calmer, clearer, and will sound a lot better in court. And you can choose to accept or reject that. You can still send what you want to send. You're always in control. AI is not going to run your relationship, but it gives you that opportunity to slow down, reconsider, and then send something that sounds a lot better.
Yeah, thank you. That's again to know that this is going to warn you. I'm old, so I would say, danger, Will Robinson. It's like, oh no, be careful, be careful. You're going to send something that will escalate. I love that there would be a warning. And again, it's teaching. So it's not just yelling at you, bad girl. It is sitting there saying, watch out, here it would be better, and here's how it's going to receive better. And now you're putting out really healthy kind of communication. And even though they are going to still stay in the gutter, you don't have to go down there with them. And for court records, you are going to look like the normal one, not reacting to these things.
Yeah, exactly. And uh, you don't have to get your co-parent to change in order to create a more peaceful relationship.
Yeah. And I think there's a huge benefit to communicating like this and using an app like yours because it's going to help the children. Neither one of you are going to be in that like elevated state. You're going to be in a safe place and you're not going to be reactive to the children. It keeps a calm, and the children are the ones who benefit, right?
Absolutely. Well, you may have picked up on this, but the term best interest is a term that's used often in family courts.
Mhm.
And when I was envisioning this solution of applying AI to co-parenting, I was thinking first about how do we protect the kids? Because at the end of the day, that's who benefits. When we
Mhm.
learn how to work together better with our ex and or just not be so challenged by that relationship and then be more present with our kids. That's who benefits. So there's a huge follow on to benefit to reducing the amount of conflict in your co parenting relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. A huge benefit for the kids. Um, so as we're talking about the kids and we're talking about this app, I know some other parenting apps have documentation built into it. Is there something that can flow into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Best Interest is similar to the other apps in that way, in that all of the interactions that you have, even if your co-parent isn't using the app, they're recorded in a way that can be printed out for court documentation and provided via your attorney or directly if you're self-represented. And if you're using some of the other functions of our app, those are also you can download the reports as well.
Love that. I love that. Is there anything else that we should know about using an app like this? And is there a cost? And I mean, I want people to go on and go to your website and I want them to download it, but I think it'll help them to go, oh, it's going to cost me 10 bucks a month, 20 bucks a month, whatever it is. I'd love to have them have that knowledge.
Yeah, well, from the beginning, I really knew that there were so many co-parents I wanted to reach and support, and that as a small business, obviously we do need to have a subscription model, but we launched from the beginning with a free model as well. So you can download the app and you can benefit from the AI coaching, which is completely free. You just can use it and there is no charge. And if you decide you want to get the added Message Shield or Tone Guardian for messaging directly with your co-parent, then that costs $15 a month.
Mhm.
And we find that a lot of co-parents benefit in that they're reducing the amount of money that they end up spending with their attorneys later on or going to court. It's really a small price to pay for that kind of guidance.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a Starbucks cup of coffee. And I know when people are going through divorce, every penny is important, but I think it also helps with the documentation. It helps you look clean on your side. It helps the children. And what's better than a cup of coffee or a month of peace, right? To me, this is so worth it. And you know, I love that you have built this, and I really hope that it just keeps on growing and growing because the logic and the stuff that you put in there is not like just going to chat, right? It's going to be specific. It's going to know the tone. It's going to understand and have a familiarity by the end of your relationship and where it goes and how it escalates. So it's a good tool, right?
I'm really glad that you brought that up because I think that that's one of the big differentiators. We have all tried ChatGPT or Gemini, and it can be really helpful. And from the very beginning, Best Interest, we see this as a relationship that you're building. So as you're using the app, as your co-parent is using the app, we're learning more about how the two of you communicate, and we're building a model that's customized to you. You can even upload your parenting plan and it will help you stick to those orders. So it'll remind you when you send a message that might not be in keeping with your parenting plan that that will be problematic. So it's
Mhm.
really about understanding your relationship and building on that, and then supporting the two of you to come together in peace,
Mhm.
which is really our goal with every user that comes to us.
Love it. Love it. Now, the last question I want is how do people find this app? Because we keep saying best interest app, but we haven't said how to find it and how they can go and give it a whirl.
Yeah, the Best Interest app can be found on the iOS App Store or Android Play Store. You can just download it onto your device and yeah, just give it a try. It's free.
Nice. Thank you so much, Saul. This has been so helpful. I really, really encourage people. The difference in your documentation, how you look on paper, is going to make or break you. Because if they have, responsive, activated responses, there's evidence. And, keeping it clean helps the children because now both parents are not elevated and, upset.
Yeah, it's so important for sure.
Yeah, so thank you so
Yeah.
much for this great interview.
Sure. Yeah, Tracy, thank you for having me on.
Remember, you can't control the other parent, but you can control your boundaries. You can control your responses, and you can control the emotional environment that you allow in your life. And your child will be the beneficiary of this because things will be calmer. And that's where the real power is. I hope that you all go and try his app and start to play with it and start to see those tone meters and go, oops, I would have gotten in trouble with that one. So, this is Tracy Malone. If you are looking for help in co-parenting, I am a narcissist abuse coach and I coach people all over the world. So you can visit my website, narcissistabusesupport.com. Lots of blogs, lots of articles, and you can find out how to work with me if you need some help along the way. So this is Tracy Malone. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you again soon.